The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show. This one is available in your podcast app and it's on YouTube as well. A show that is brought to you by Levi Solicitors, where Michael will do a sparkling sell now for their services, which helps to support us, by the way, carrying this. So thanks for tolerating it.
You ever had a dispute?
Oh, loads.
Any that have been really bad on that?
Probably.
Yeah? Was it stressful?
Oh, so stressful. I wish I had an expert in my corner.
Do you wish to have an expert dispute resolution team?
I do. Where could I find one?
Levi Solicitors.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're paying full price for that? Or is a 10% discount on your legal fees?
Yeah, there is, yeah.
Oh.
If it's a boundary issue with a neighbour, a company dispute, check the sheet. Claim against professional, or even an inheritance dispute.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll help you at a discount.
Yeah.
10%.
Good. Full details and terms about that on the website. They've got a big range of services, including off the top of your heads.
Wills Probate Conveyancing.
Thank you. And you can find a link in the episode description as well. Chris Mack's with us as we update the latest from Ellen Road as we head into another weekend of fixtures. Is it game week 34 are we on now?
I'll take your word for it.
It's not many left, is it now? 10 weeks left of the season, 13 games, and it rolls into Friday night, which will be tonight as this comes out. Burnley versus Sheffield Wednesday.
0-0.
I've always loved Sheffield Wednesday.
They've always loved us.
Yeah, and their neighbours Sheffield United, about whom winning this game would do both of us a favour.
That is true.
Funny old
incentives.
Game, but Sheffield Wednesday are on 45 points now, a mere 3 off the playoffs. So it's important they try and win this.
It's weird that despite being terrible,
yeah,
they're kind of on the edge of the playoffs. It's like all the teams in the middle of the league. You're like, I suppose you just need to win a couple of games and you'll be in there, even though you're not any good.
Coventry are 7th.
I know. It's mad, isn't it?
It's almost disrespectful.
And what are Bristol City doing as high as 8th as well? They should be about 12th to 15th.
And I think 8th is about right for Bristol.
You think?
They often have like just got on the fringe of the playoffs, haven't they?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of their role. They're a club with big potential.
Yeah, they weren't bad against Leeds in the home game. They did a really good job of pressing us and sort of limiting Leeds' chances in that game. But I think 13 draws probably says quite a bit about their ambition.
We'd take a draw in the Burnley-Sheffield Wednesday game, wouldn't we?
I'd take that. Yeah.
Another 0-0.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And then if you do draw at Bramall Lane on Monday, then happy days, isn't it?
Yeah. Keep it all the same. Just don't touch anything. Leave the league table as it is.
And your Saturday lunchtime fixture, as it is here in the UK, Sunderland versus Hull.
Another great bunch of lads who like us.
Yeah. Hull fighting for their lives at the bottom end. Caused Sheffield United merry hell a few weeks ago by winning their 3-0. So we know they've potentially got a result in them, albeit you look at that and you think, well, they're probably not gonna win that on balance, but you just never know. And as we were saying on the show with Berren through the week, it'll be interesting to see how Sunderland react to the hammer blow of a last-minute defeat, because it can affect you, I suppose.
Definitely can.
That defeat being to us, I mean.
And I suppose the thing with Sunderland now is it's less on them, isn't it, as well, when we're looking at the results. A while ago, we were looking at 3 teams. For now, it's mainly Burnley. It's the one we've got to watch out for.
Yeah.
And just hope Sunderland don't go on some ridiculous run, because it will take a daft run from both us and them for them to catch us now.
Yeah, it's a very strange position for them to be in as well, because they're 8 points off second is probably what they're looking at now, but they're 11 points clear of 5th. Like, there's not really any threat.
No.
I mean, I know in previous years you've been going, oh, we could actually end up dropping out of the playoffs here, but it would take an almighty collapse, and even then,
their fans looking at the forums, and we've done propaganda this week as well. It all feels very much resigned to the playoffs at this stage, and we're not quite good enough to go up automatically when compared to obviously us most recently.
I mean, some of them are hanging their hopes on the fact that we play Sheffield United, so it could be a way for them to quickly get back in the race for second.
And Sheffield United play Burnley third to last game of the season,
so it kind of would pull them back in, but it crucially relies on us beating them, in which case we, maintain that gap, and it's all fine for us, because I don't really care who else comes up.
It's funny, isn't it? This weekend last year was the home victory against Leicester, when we were second in the table at that point, would you believe? And we are in another first versus second battle this weekend, but it feels like it's been framed completely differently because of beating Sunderland and because of the gap that we've now got. Are you relaxed ain't the word, but are you a little bit more relaxed about this Sheffield United game on Monday as a result of us beating Sunderland and then obviously the games prior to that?
Yeah, it's still a massive game, but it's in the same way as you would look like 3 games and go 7 points out of 3 games in blocks of 3. That's great. This is one, because we've won on Monday night, a draw is absolutely fine. But you're also in the back of your mind going, but if we win?
Well, that's the thing. You've got the luxury now because we've been on such a good run and we're all happy and very, very optimistic of going into it and going, oh, yeah, a win would be great. Rather than that feeling of, oh, shit, we absolutely need to win this, which I think is the difference between this game and the Leicester game last year.
I think the difference as well is that I genuinely think we're the best team.
In the world?
Possibly. In the league this year, whereas, last year, Leicester were having a very good season. They had some good players. Ipswich, while I thought they didn't have as good a squad as us, they did have just a huge amount of momentum. It doesn't feel the same this year, does it?
No.
And it feels to be it feels like the teams around us are all also accepting we probably have the best team. Because I've not heard much in the way of.
You've got a slightly haunted look about.
Yeah,
you looked at me when you said that as if to say I'm doubting my own words here.
No, it is true. It makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. But if you listening to Burnley and Sheffield United fans, Sunderland fans, as I do for propaganda, they basically all of them say Leeds have got the best team. Leeds are going to go up.
Does it give you kind of a bit of a sort of a hive mind impression about it? That's how I feel about it.
Well, yeah, and like if everyone's saying it, all the stats are saying it, and you just look at the strength of our bench at the moment. There's nothing to be scared of,
apart from ourselves,
apart from the past.
Yeah. Monday night is the sort of game that when you look at that, you go, right, okay, this is a team that's going up. But yeah, we've still got the past. I do think we look quite a bit like Farke's Norwich the first time they went up. Although we had a much better season because 2017-18 he was there. They didn't make the playoffs or anything like that, but they were just steady. Whereas last year I think Leicester and Ipswich came flying out of the blocks, and then sort of didn't really know. Well, Leicester certainly didn't know what to do with themselves for a while, but this year it feels like Leeds have been steady.
Does it feel to you a little bit like a bit of a middle distance race in the athletics, where you've got to sort of pace yourself a little bit on the first? I say you, us, people, athletes, first few laps, and you sometimes see people who take off out of the blocks and go too quick. You're like, slow down, but then actually they catch up as they go and they save it for like the home sprint. It feels like when you saw how our run of form unfolded last year around sort of New Year, this time of year, the two have coincided, and you're familiar. Is that a hallmark maybe of what Farke's teams do? It's all geared towards this part of the season, except he didn't account for the other two going hell for leather last season. Maybe it's just sort of part of the thing that he does.
Yeah. I think we ran out of steam as well at the end of last year, and we didn't have.
Do you think that was down to us constantly chasing?
I think partly. I think it's just that we didn't have options either. In midfield, it was set. There was in terms of you couldn't even rest people for like options, and there was also not an option to tactically change it in midfield because it was just a choice between sideways passes. Whereas we saw the other night the difference Rothwell makes. I know there were set pieces in the end, but it is acceptable to have someone who's good at set pieces as well.
Right.
I know it's something we've discounted for so many years, but like having someone who can just put a really good cross in, like it's a legitimate way to score goals.
Yeah.
It is fine.
It is a luxury these days, though. I think it is quite hard to find someone who can take free kicks and corners at any level, like even at the top level. A lot of teams struggle from set pieces still. It's squad makeup, I think, is massive. I don't think we fully appreciated that until the last month or so when you look at the options that we've got off the bench. And last year, we just didn't have it. And we probably had a less experienced squad overall. We had our best players. I know Rudder got injured, but Somerville did really go missing on the big occasion at times.
Feels like there's a real squad harmony this season, I think.
Yeah.
And you can see it in the way that they kind of celebrated together, and they did the circle on the pitch at the end of the Sunderland game.
Having other players we can trust to come off the bench as well has just meant in games where we've been comfortable, we've been able to give people a rest for the last 20 minutes and stuff as well, which just does make a huge difference. And cumulatively over a month, if you've been taken off on 70 minutes 3 times, you will just have a little bit more about you and a bit more on the legs. And it feels like everything is in our favour this year.
Yeah. The parachute payments, still having them.
Oh, it's the unromantic way of viewing it, is that. But I mean, that was the argument for why we should have gone up above Ipswich last year, was that we were spending loads more money than them. And it didn't work out. But generally speaking, it does.
Looking ahead a week to game week 35, next weekend after this one, you've got on the Friday night, Sheffield Wednesday again with our fate in their hands a little bit. They're playing Sunderland on the Friday. That'll be an interesting one. Saturday, we have the lunchtime kickoff against West Brom with QPR hosting Sheffield United in the 3 o'clock kickoff. An interesting point here is that Burnley play at Preston in the FA Cup 5th round that weekend, and it goes to show how disruptive a 5th round game might have been, because they then have to travel to Cardiff on Tuesday.
I didn't realise it was Burnley-Preston. That'll be feisty, given what happened at the weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a great game.
Well, okay.
Dripping with sincerity there, Chris. But yeah, to travel to Cardiff on the Tuesday, having played a 5th round cup tie, you start to see how these extra games can just be a little bit of a hindrance.
I'm glad we're not in the cup.
Well, I mean, maybe it wasn't, but whenever we reached the 5th round last year, we had Leicester on the Friday, then it was Chelsea away in the cup on the Wednesday, and then our 9-game winning streak ended that weekend against Huddersfield. So there's maybe something to be said for it, but I think it's a minor difference whether or not you make the 4th or the 5th round. But yeah, I suppose if you have to play on the Tuesday after,
it's a lot of travelling. So you're coming straight off the back of having gone to Preston, and I know it's not far for them, but then it's just disruptive in terms of they'll probably be staying in a hotel. Yeah. So then they have to go back to Burnley, which is never a nice thing, and then have to basically set off down to Cardiff not long after that. Yeah. So
I suppose the difference this year as well is the 5th round is not midweek. It was midweek last year, so you're not rescheduling fixtures. So Leeds will have played, and Sheffield United will both played by the time that Burnley get to go to Cardiff.
Yeah, which you wonder psychologically what that does to them. Yeah, and as you say, I've noted on the sheet here that the game week 35 last year was the draw at Huddersfield, which is when the wobble probably first set in, I think, and the form started to just wobble a bit after that massive run of wins.
I mean, there's also a warning there for this year when we look at our easy running. Huddersfield were absolutely crap last year and got relegated, quite rightly so, and we dropped points there. So
yeah,
we do still need to win these games. Like we dropped points at Rotherham. We weren't great against teams at the bottom, whereas we beat Leicester and Ipswich and still failed to go up. So what I'm saying is, if we can just flat track it to the end of this season,
this feels
that's
different.
Actually good enough.
This feels a bit different though, doesn't it? In terms of that, we've managed to overcome the lower teams a lot better, I think, this season than last season. Saying to Berren on Wednesday, Chris, that the average position for our fixtures until the end of the season after West Brom is 16.18 in the table. For all the remaining teams, all the others sort of coalesce around 12 to 12.5. So we've got, on paper at least, a far easier run in post West Brom.
Do we though, or would you not rather be playing teams that are mid-table and have less to play for?
Yeah, perhaps. But I suppose if the average position is 16, like you've got Portsmouth, will be a little bit jittery looking at relegation. But I suppose the other side to that is that we've seen the benefit of teams trying to attack us and leaving us space to play in. So if teams are having to chase wins at this point, then maybe it helps us a little bit.
But look at the end of last season as well. I'm pretty sure Sunderland and Blackburn didn't really have anything to play for, did they? At the end of last season. Still fucked us over.
And the other side to that is that 2 of those fixtures, you've got Luton, who are bottom, game week 40, and then Plymouth, who are second bottom, game week 46. So it's the final one of the season. Take those out, and it's actually 18th, 14th, 13th, 17th, 11th, 15th, 16th, 19th. So actually, most of them are in mid-table.
Yeah. I do remember saying on Monday that when we played Sunderland last year, they had nothing to play for and basically just shithoused us for 90 minutes.
Which felt a bit selfish.
Yeah, but it's hard to know, because if you play a team that are 18th, 19th, they might do the same thing, trying to get a point. You want a team that's really on the beach, not one that's mid-table that has nothing to play for but kind of fancies it.
Away points are actually all right, though.
Yeah,
at this stage, probably. As long as we can just win the home games, away points are absolutely fine.
If we win away ones as well, that's even better, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, right, let's talk about Rangers. Favourite topic of yours, Chris? There's rumours about Parag Marate, 49ers Enterprises, somebody sniffing around them. Possible sister club, RB Rangers, maybe?
Could be. It seems a bit strange, doesn't it? Scottish football. It's not. It's a very 90s thing.
Although with a bit of sensible ownership and, I was going to say investment, but I don't know how much you can invest into Scotland these days, what the rules are and how much it costs to run a side like that. But you get European football every year.
You do. You don't get very much TV money, though, from domestic rights, do you? Is the big thing. They're, like, turnover-wise, it's like under 100 million, I think, they turn over.
Yeah, I think they had 97.4 million last year, and that was their highest ever. But it's going to be your highest ever for most football clubs at the minute, with the increase in costs and that, and just money generally. Like, it's going to go up each year, more than likely. But their debt did also double.
Yeah.
Last year from 13 to 26 million. The only way I can really see there being any sense in this for them is if they can develop a system where they qualify for the Champions League group stages every year, maybe win a game or two, and start buying players low and selling them high, which they've tried to do, but it does feel like Celtic have been slightly more successful with, like, Matt O'Reilly, for instance, than Rangers have. Like, Rangers, I think they thought they were going to get a lot more money for Glenn Kamara whenever he left them, and they just didn't. But that, I don't know. I don't know whether that's a boardroom feeling or just them generally, because they've had a handful of good players over the last few years.
I mean, well, you also wonder, is it a bit sort of Salzburgy feeling? Like,
it's an easy route from Austria to Germany and Scotland to England. That kind of a vibe.
Yeah. Like, I'm not suggesting for one second that Rangers would be our feeder club, but if I mean, multi-club ownership just makes my teeth itch. Just like, not interested. It doesn't get the hairs up on the back of your neck, does it? But you can see why they might look at it from that perspective. Because, I mean, to all intents and purposes, unless there's a big power shift in Scotland, it's going to be a 2-horse race forever, which is pretty favourable odds.
True enough. Yeah, the multi-club ownership thing, I just hate it in general, I have to say. I wouldn't want us to be part of a chain that's feeding someone else. And obviously, as a Premier League team in a big city, we would likely be what everything else is feeding, but I just don't like it as a concept. I think it's
disrespectful to other clubs, isn't it?
Yeah, massively so.
Yeah. You want, if you're supporting a football club, you want to feel like the only thing matters is your club and not Strasbourg feeding players to Chelsea or something daft like that.
Girona and Man City and all that. Yeah.
And like, I know the SPL is nowhere near the level of the Premier League, but Rangers and Celtic are two massive clubs, and there's no way that either of them would stand for being a feeder club for anyone else. Like, there's no way of selling that to the Rangers fans.
Even if there is sort of a reality to it, if you see, for example, Celtic have just sold players back into Europe or into England, haven't they? So is there an acceptance of the shifting sands of power across European football?
That still is a different feel, though, to knowing that you can. It's at the whims of owners of essentially another club to go, actually, we want them.
Yeah, but
and you're just moving them around.
Nobody will ever say it out loud. That's the point. Nobody will ever explicitly say you're a feeder club for this. You see, you're just part of a group, and we all share resources and knowledge and scouting and things like that. Yeah,
but if you're part of a network, you're part of that network, and like, you know that you're not the ultimate end goal. It's fine for, where Celtic had like Matt O'Reilly or Cameron Carter-Vickers at the minute, for them to go, well, I'm going to go up to Celtic, have a couple of good years there, and then end up moving for 20 million or whatever. And there is definitely an acceptance there for both sides in Glasgow. Like, I have mates back home who support both teams, and they'll both say, like, they sign a good player, they go, he'll be gone in a couple of years anyway. It's like they're not expecting them to stay for 10, 15 years.
That's what I mean about the shifting sands of power within football. But people know, don't they? In the same way that we know, if we stay in the Championship, this happens every year or two. You get to hold on to them for a year or two at best.
It's different whenever you introduce a hierarchy to it. If you own a club, like, I don't think for a second that Rangers will be Leeds' feeder club, or there'll be some huge network. I just don't see it going that way. But if it did go that way, there's no way that they would go for it. No way.
I mean, the other thing with this is, which applies as much to us and teams in England, is that the massive influx of US money, it does potentially lead me to think that there is a long-term plan here to just completely tear down regulations and structures so they can do something completely different. And if you've got an eye on Rangers not playing in Scotland forever, I know there's been talk in the past of leagues that would encompass, a bit of the big teams from Holland, the big teams from Belgium.
Yeah.
Maybe like an Irish team would get thrown in there. You'd get...
It was almost like a secondary level European kind of league, wasn't it?
You kind of take people out of small domestic, where there are big fish in small ponds, essentially. You join them together to do a thing. I don't know. Who knows exactly where people see these things. It's just that you don't look at Rangers as a business and go, well, there's a clear profitable operation, because they lose money all the time and have done for a long time, to the point where they got booted into the third division or something for a time. So
yeah, but I think an element of that was perhaps board level incompetence and arrogance. There's money to be made,
which football club owners would not do, as we know.
All very clever, aren't they?
Yeah,
all very clever.
But from the reporting in Scotland, it doesn't seem like it's the 49ers enterprises. I can't remember off the top of my head now which report I read today, but it was one of the Scottish papers, and they basically seemed to suggest that it was Parag Marath bringing other investors in, so not him leading the 49ers investment group on it. So it could be something completely separate entirely.
Almost acting like a fixer or something. Well, we shall see, won't we? We shall see. Speaking of Rangers, and relating it back to Leeds, Kemar Roofe was released by Rangers. Was it the summer that he got released? Or he left? So he's been without club until now, and he's gone to Derby.
But he's also only played about 800 minutes of football in the last 2.5 seasons now. It
does go to show the sort of, again, talking about stratification in football and the new world order and all that is a move they feel like they have to make, is to bring in an extra player. It's basically a player who's out of contract. And I know we brought in Big Joss quite judiciously, but he's been used in a fairly judicious manner. You wonder what Roofe adds to that and the fight against relegation for them.
And also, we signed him relatively early in the season, didn't we? When he'd not been out of contract for that long. Whereas this does feel, it's kind of amazing anyone's a free agent at this stage of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're a free agent at this point and you're not like Scandinavian, where their contracts end in December, then you're probably done for, basically, for lack of a better phrase. It's the same with Dele Alli, who went to Como. Like he just hasn't played at all. He's gone to Como, he's been training, they gave him a year's contract, and there's already stories that he's just not going to be able to play. He's just not going to be fit enough to play.
Did he go to Forest for a bit, Dele Alli? He did, didn't he? And they binned him off.
I can't actually remember.
He went to Turkey.
It sounds plausible, but that's just because Forest signed about 30 odd players.
Yeah,
and he seems like someone they would have signed, because obviously Frank Lampard took him to Everton, didn't he? Was the first move, but that didn't
basically
work out.
Stop playing him. Otherwise, they would have had to buy him, I think, wouldn't they, for a huge amount of money. So. Yeah,
I mean, I wish Roofe well, I suppose.
Yeah, sucker born every minute and all that. But
I always thought it was quite good for us. But
let's hope
it was a while ago.
Let's hope he scores the goals to defeat them against any of our promotion rivals.
He did love a goal against Derby as well.
He did.
Not sure he's going to try doing that too much now, though.
You do wonder how much that sort of plays into these things, don't you?
We've seen him and he's good.
Someone has been like, he was really hard to play against. Like 5 years ago.
Time to assemble once again and pick our likes and dislikes from the last 7 days, and from within them crown a hero and villain of the week. We've got a load of stuff sent in, likes and dislikes, by our TSB Plus members. We can add in our own as well if you want to. So what have you liked? What have you disliked about the last 7 days? I can think of a few things.
Water Malone says, Joe Rothwell. Anytime we don't have him on, we miss that drive in midfield. Would sign him in the summer regardless of the division. And I agree.
Right.
It's interesting, Rothwell. At the start of the season, you got the first glimpses of him and you were like, he seems like a sensible sort of backup.
Yeah.
But he's more than that.
Yeah. And I say, give Joe Rothwell his flowers. Delivery is almost as beautiful as his luxurious hair.
Nice. Getting a bit less love, Luke O'Nien. Lots of insults about his face, his behaviour, his general scrotiness on the pitch. People just not happy with his general vibe.
Yeah, he's a bit of a prick. But he's probably, if you're a Sunderland fan, you like him because he's in your team and he's doing it rather than doing it against you. It wasn't him that handballed at Ellen Road. Last time he basically like punched the ball.
It might have been, actually.
Yeah, it should have been a penalty.
Can't even remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just an irritating sort of presence.
Speaking of irritation.
He's a very grizzled championship sort of bastard, isn't he?
Yeah.
He could easily have slotted in, like Neil Warnock could sign him.
Speaking of people who irritated us, Wilson Isidore, future Leeds player. Been linked to him this week, haven't we, by some places on the internet? Whatever.
Yeah.
His 10-minute celebration when they won the game in the first half, says Kicking Tanakas. That one's for you, you fucking cockwomble.
I was low-key annoyed at how long it took him to celebrate. Because, we'll get into the refereeing of booking Farker. Why does Farker get booked? Why not him? He's taking ages.
Yeah.
Why do you get booked for taking it? If you can take your shirt off and put it on again quickly, still a yellow card.
Yeah.
If you fuck around doing something at some other celebration for ages, it's all right. I don't think, however, we should have been allowed to celebrate our winner for a good 10 minutes. I think would have been absolutely fair enough. But that's because it's Leeds and it's more important.
Yeah.
Whereas Sunderland goal in the first half. Come on.
Watching him celebrate, you're going, you may hope that this is the winning goal, or you're going to get pelters at the end of the game for this.
It is worth saying as well, actually, transferring that example onto their fans. And rightly so, the way that their fans celebrated them going in front actually made our payoff at the end even sweeter, because they went absolutely bananas, which you do in an away game like that when it's up against the top team in the division, the best team in the division, if not the world.
Yeah, obviously. Like the guy who was pictured on TV, I didn't see it on TV at the time, but I've obviously seen it used a million times across social media, the 1-0 guy doing it with his fingers. That he probably has some regrets. They must have been sent to him a million times, must that? People going, so you were doing this.
But this is why you flirt with danger, because the risk of it being shoved back in your face is always present in football. And that's what kind of makes the whole thing delicious, because we've had it inflicted on us before, and then we get to inflict it on them that time.
Maybe you just go full Frank Lampard on it and still do what we were still doing 1-0 at the end of the game. Just like, yeah, but there was a thing that happened once, so it still counts, doesn't it?
The thing is, as well, it does take two to tango, and having a full away end to just look sad made it so much more worth it. Whereas if that had been like QPR and we'd scored in the last minute, there's 400 of them there, it isn't really the same.
No, it's not. I agree. As someone who used to sit towards the south stand, in the family stand, when south stand used to be full of away fans occasionally, it was awful having them there. But also massively adds to the atmosphere, doesn't it, when you get a full away? Because home crowds in football, this seems to be a general thing now. Home crowds are not as good as they used to be.
No.
Whether it's us, Liverpool, Sheffield United, like everything you ever see online is people complaining about it, saying it's really flat now. Whereas away ends are one thing that seems to keep football going to a large extent. So if you've got someone to play off, it's quite important.
Yeah, and it's like invading enemy territory almost, isn't it? You're undercover kind of thing.
Except the Sunderland when they put you up the top and it's shit.
Yeah, that's true. Tom Numbers has been in touch.
Yeah.
Liked everything 78 minutes onwards, the noise, the limbs, kids flying across rows in the east stand like human darts, Pirro's tongue, Farker on his arse. It's that kind of pandemonium that makes it all worth it. I agree with that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that moment. Football, jumpers for goalposts. It's a little bit of that, isn't it?
Ron manager.
Yes. Any other specifics in there that you've picked out from what's been sent into us?
Martin says, like Joe Rothwell set pieces, dislike Ilya Gruev set pieces.
Why can't he kick it off the floor? Because I've seen him do it like loads of times. For some reason, put it in the corner. There was one of them was so appallingly hit it was trying to in-swing it in front of the Sunderland fans in the first half. It barely it was like he completely mishit it. It's strange that footballers can do it.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that was like an intentional thing though. Because if you remember the goal that Leeds scored against Sheffield United, and it was Rothwell hit it, and it was low, like it was sort of like a low flick up and in, wasn't it?
The Strouk one?
Yeah, but it was a very low strike. I'm pretty sure.
It was the con that was winging it. Yeah, and he ran into they tried it as a new routine. Yeah.
I was wondering if that's what he was aiming to do, but it's just one of those ones. Just don't do it. Just hit it properly. Hit the ball properly towards the 6-yard box where hopefully someone is standing.
Yeah. Worry the keeper.
Yeah.
Worry the keeper. Yeah, plenty of love for Rothwell and for the big sexy pirate, as you might imagine. And dislike for referee as well. Atwell, we mentioned across the course of the week.
He's him and actually the fourth official as well. The ref could still just refuse to.
Let's narrow it down then. Ken Bates, villain of the week. Is it the officiating teams for being a set of bad grasses?
Yeah, I'd say so. And also,
Stuart Atwell and friends.
And that rugby tackle on Tanaka is ridiculous. When I watched that back, like, how on earth is he looking at it and going, "Oh yeah, that all looks fine"? I can only think it's because the ball's going over his head, and so he's not judging it to be a foul somehow.
But I remember a penalty, and I'm not one to hold grudges. I am. It was 2017. Leeds were playing
I'm not
Middlesbrough.
One to hold grudges, so I'm going back 8 years.
Leeds were playing Middlesbrough, and Borough had a penalty given. The ball was like yards, like a long distance away, and Luke Ayling, I remember he wrapped his arm around, was it Daniel Ayala? And Ayala went down, and the referee gave a penalty for it.
That prick.
Some neck on him.
Right. So, like, it doesn't matter if the ball's not there. So if you just rugby tackle someone.
I've seen one given once against us that I hated, so all of those should be given in our favour in perpetuity forever.
It was a foul.
Yeah.
It was absolutely 100% on any bit of the pitch a foul.
Yeah.
It's not even one of those ones where you go, but you don't get him in the box. Like, you just can't do that to people.
He's wrestling a man.
Weird.
The 09 thing as well, that should have been a yellow card.
Oh, when he did get a specific nomination for trying to put his League One bollocks on Melier.
Yeah, I did. I've written a blog about Joe Rodon today and how I would 100% follow him into war. I just really enjoyed him on Monday night. And whenever he pushed 09 off, it was like a Jack Russell humping someone's leg, and you just sort of flick it off, like, go away.
Put your lipstick away. 09. That's our Ken Bates villain of the week. Then is it? It's the officials.
The officials 09. Sky got a nomination as well for giving people Hinchcliffe and Warnock in the same broadcast.
Usual low-hanging fruit, though, as Sky are concerned, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Warnock was going into bat for us.
There'll be more opportunities to have a go at both of them.
Yeah, Warnock was on our side. Hinchcliffe is a perpetual villain.
Yeah. But I think booking Farker and making him be suspended for the Sheffield United game is too much.
They'll make the victory even better, though, won't it?
He was really annoyed about it after the game. I think he did accuse the fourth official of being the same fourth official who'd booked him before, but I don't think it was.
Yeah, Barron said that. He was like, that's just not true.
But maybe he just generally doesn't like them.
It doesn't matter. So. We're in the post-truth era now anyway. You can just say anything.
It was him.
And people will believe you. Yeah, it was. Who's told you that? Deep State, MSM.
Indeed.
Yeah. PGMOL, all the same, innit?
Let's give it to all of them.
What? All
the referees.
Oh, I thought you meant the Deep State. Right, should we do the Gitano Barada Hero of the Week? Sponsored by the TukTukClub.com. Tuk Tuk Adventures in Northern Thailand. All I need to say really is Bruce is a Leeds fan who runs it. So you can go out there and chat football.
And elephants.
Yep.
Waterfalls. Small bikes with seats on.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I understand a tuk-tuk is, kind of.
Bruce actually emailed me a little update from the Tuk Tuk Club and said that an adventurous Leeds United couple have just booked overnight to join us for an 11-day adventure in February next year. Clearly a right-thinking couple and understanding that we're all going to need a break from the Premier League by February. Can't think of a better way to escape a tedious away game at Fulham, Palace, Bournemouth, whatever, than heading through the mountains on 3 wheels. But for anyone joining us during the season, do let them know that there is Wi-Fi at every overnight stop, so no need to miss a game. And dare I say it, no need to use NordVPN to enjoy Bryn and Tony DeRigo.
But it's an expensive way just to get a bit of Bryn Law, I will say, but it's probably a worthwhile trip.
Yeah. The TukTukClub.com, TSB 15 for a 15% discount on your booking. Right, let's pick a hero of the week. Is it Rothwell? Is it Strauch? What is it? Who is it?
I do want to nominate Rothwell. He slowed down time in that moment.
It's like Neo in the Matrix.
Yeah, I was about to shout, get it in the box. And then he just that little split second, the composure through the roof.
Yeah.
Love it.
I know it's not exactly a perfect hat-trick, but it's kind of a perfect assist brace. I'm going to go with
a perfect
left foot, right foot.
Okay.
Because there's both such nice balls in.
Yeah.
And to do that with either foot in such a short space of time.
Lovely pair of balls.
Lovely. Really nice.
I've got a proposal for you then. Let me chuck this one out there, see what you think. I think we give it to Strauch, but it can be handed to him by Joe Rothwell.
Yeah, that is how you do it.
He can assist the award to him as well,
like from the other side of the room.
He can head it to him. Then it's the perfect. Then it is the perfect hat trick of assists.
We need to now.
It's not like a bottle of champagne anymore, is it? That'd be more Rodon's territory.
Glass sphere, snooker ball.
heading a champagne bottle thrown towards him.
You've won a snooker ball. Congratulations, and we've engraved it. Oh dear. So are we happy to do that?
I think
Rothwell assisting it to Pascal.
Pascal deserves it because God knows we're never going to score from a set piece without him on the pitch, are we?
And not only that, the man is capable of healing as well, because Alfie is the lad who dislocated his shoulder celebrating the goal. Pascal's reached out to him, hasn't he?
He has.
He said, what I'll do, I think I'm paraphrasing now, but I'll put my big sexy pirate hands on your shoulder and heal you.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Strauch, big goals for us this year as well.
Yep.
Opener against Sheffield United. 2 the other night. Big, some of the most crucial goals we'll ever score potentially as a football club. Scored by the most handsome man to ever wear the shirt.
He has always been a set piece menace. I'm pretty sure his first goal for Leeds was a header against Arsenal, down at Arsenal. I know we got hammered that day, but I would be tempted to put him back in alongside Rodon for Monday night and move Ampadu into midfield.
Yeah, I would. I'm getting there as well, I think. I think the combination of him scoring those 2 goals and Ampadu getting turned for the Sunderland goal.
Yeah, and I know our best runs of form in the last 2 seasons have coincided with Ampadu playing at centre-back, but I just think he's a better midfielder. He is a natural midfielder and probably not a natural centre-back in a back 4. Yeah,
I probably agree. Although I do like him at centre-back as well, so it's a nice option to have.
Okay. Works for me.
Did we? Was it on the? I can't remember which show we talked about this on, but Pascal this season has scored as many goals as Steve Morrison did in his Leeds United career now, which I think is a worthwhile thing to flag up, just for a reason to batter Steve Morrison some more.
And doesn't look like a skull.
Indeed,
he has a skull, but it's framed with beautiful flesh.
Pascal Struijk got all the looks that Steve Morrison didn't.
Very much so. So he's our big sexy pirate, is our big sexy hero of the week.
Yeah.
Nice one. We'll wrap it up there. Then what we got coming up this weekend, we've got the members show as well. Some more slightly off-piste silly stuff that's coming up. We've got a preview of the Sheffield United game on Monday, and then obviously match ball, all the usual shit next week. We'll speak to you in a bit.
The Square Ball Podcast.